Very excited. It's been a long time since his name was repeated on this station, but it was oft repeated in the late summer of 2003 or fall of 2003 and, well, all of 2004. And it's a pleasure to welcome back via airwaves to Montreal, Chad the Chief Cordero. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. You're not nervous anymore, are you?
I got a couple butterflies in my stomach, but I think I'm better.
You've pitched in an all-star game. How is this making you nervous?
Pitched in the World Baseball Classic.
I always get nervous about these type of things. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know.
Well, I got to say we were the fans that were there every day, and let's treat this no different than us ragging you at the ballpark for your for not bending your cap.
All right. Sounds good.
Speaking of, why don't you bend your cap?
You know what? I don't know. Because when I was in high school, I bent it a lot, and for some reason, when I was in college, I just kind of changed. I think it's because I saw everybody else on my college team doing it. I thought it was like, gosh, that style looks really cool. So I kind of just went with it. And then people thought, I ironed my bill and stuff, or I put some heavy books on it or something to keep it flat. But truth is, that's just how they come straight out of the box. So I just never touched it.
Was it comfortable?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay, because it really didn't look it. It looked pretty awkward.
No, because I have such bushy eyebrows, and I wanted to hide my eyebrows. So that was the main reason why, I guess. But no, it was real comfortable. I loved it.
Now, Chad, let's do a sort of chronologically through your time with the Expos, because
right.
You sent me a message saying that you haven't had much of an opportunity to talk about it, and well, here's a great opportunity. Your debut was in Florida right after the famous or infamous, however you want to look at it, Phillies series in Montreal. Now, had you been called up to the club? Were you here for the Phillies series?
No, I was still in, because how it happened was I was in Brevard County, which was the A-ball team at the time. I was playing with them, and I was all packed up, ready to go, because we had just finished our last game. So I was packed up, ready to go home and stuff. And then I got the call into the manager's office saying that I had been called up. And so I was like, this is awesome, because, I was only I think it was like a month and a half out of college, I think it was, So I think I just missed that Philadelphia series, and then I just took I think it was like a 3-hour road trip down to Miami, and that's where I made my debut the same day I was called up.
Okay, so you weren't there the night before either, which was a game where the Expos lost in the bottom of the ninth inning after a tough loss for the team. They'd gone into that game with a share of the wild card. What was the clubhouse like walking in that day?
It was real tense, because when I got called up, they were, I guess, from what I had heard and from what guys have been telling me, they were expecting some reinforcements. Guys who had probably had been up, in the past, a few times, and they were expecting the kid, fresh out of college to be called up. So it was kind of tense. Nobody really spoke to me, because they were kind of upset at the situation. I think that was the year. I think it was the year when they said they weren't. Major League Baseball told the team that they weren't going to have any call-ups.
Correct. The team was waiting for Termel Sledge to be called up from, I think, Edmonton, which was the Pacific Coast League affiliate at the time.
Right. Yeah. So they were, so they're expecting reinforcements, and here I am, a kid right out of college coming up who had no experience. Only had, I think it was 19 games in the minor league, and I'm supposed to be the one who's coming up to possibly try and help them, get that wild card berth and stuff. And so nobody really talked to me for the first 2 weeks, and then after those first 2 weeks, I think I hadn't given up a run yet. So guys started warming up to me, and and plus I kind of kept to myself. I didn't really talk to the guys unless I was spoken to, because that's kind of what I had heard when I was getting called up was, respect the guys. A lot of them might be upset because, you're such a young kid, and then the wild card, just kind of keep to yourself, don't really say much and only speak when spoken to. And that's exactly what I did. So they kind of started warming up to me, after that. I just kind of kept to myself, kept quiet, went out there, did my job, worked hard at it. And I think they started to have some respect for myself, because I wasn't there, wasn't up there saying, oh, I should have been up there earlier or anything like that. I just kind of was like, hey, I was, I just was there and I was ready to go home, and the team had just called me up to come help. So I just, just kept to myself.
It's unbelievable to think of you being iced out by your teammates. Was it the same as? Did you get the same reaction from management, Chad?
No, I mean the management was really good. Frank was, Frank talked to me all the time. There was a couple guys like Jamie Carroll. I mean, he kind of took me under his wing. He helped me out a whole lot. I mean, so not all the guys were like that. I mean, they were all real respectful and real nice. So they were just kind of upset because they were expecting, someone with major league experience to come up. So I mean, they were really nice. They were still really nice to me and stuff. They said hi, but that was basically it.
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there were still, there was a couple guys who talked to me on a regular basis. Like I said, Jamie Carroll was one of them. Todd Zeal was another one. So and Joey Isham was another one. So I mean, there was a couple guys who spoke to me, and but for the most part, they were all real nice. They were just expecting someone else to be called up.
Did you know by the end of the 2003 season that your spot was secure for 2004?
No, I was going into spring training. I was nervous. I mean, it was my first spring training. I didn't know what to expect, and I was kind of like just hearing horror stories about guys getting sent down on the last day, or getting an apartment up in Montreal, and then learning that they were getting sent down and having to figure out what they're going to do with that apartment. So I was kind of nervous. So I just kind of waited till the last day to figure out what I was going to do, and I ended up just kind of staying with Jamie Carroll for the whole year, because I didn't want to make plans and have them have something happen. But I mean, I had no idea that I was secure, had a spot already. I mean, I thought maybe go back to AAA or AA, get some more seasoning in, build my arm back up a little bit more, and do that. I wasn't at all expecting to make it out of spring training.
Instead, you're basically anointed the setup man after spring training for Rocky Biddle, and
right.
Things go pretty smoothly for you until May, when you're given a chance to close.
Yeah, I mean that was another thing that I wasn't expecting, because we had Luis Ayala on the team at the time, and and I think everybody was kind of thinking that if Frank did replace Rocky, it was going to be with Luis, and and here I am, getting that opportunity to close, and I just kind of took it and ran with it. I was used to that spot. I didn't treat it any differently than I did, in the seventh or eighth innings when I came in. I just went out there, tried to do the job the best that I could, and hopefully, just try not to disappoint Frank.
With less nerves than when you're on the radio, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is mind-blowing for me, man. I cannot believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hat kind of helped out a little bit, because it kind of made me look intimidating, but in actuality, I was just hiding how much I was shaking back underneath that cap.
Now, Chad, I have to ask, out of full disclosure, I have a theory which I have written down and had published about how you became the closer of the Montreal Expos. And it involves my friend Max Harris, who used to be a co-host on my baseball show on the station, who asked Frank Robinson at an Expos fan day why you weren't closing. And the next day you had your first save. Does this story hold any water for you? Do you think it's possible that a 15-year-old was co-managing the Montreal Expos and managed to get into Frank Robinson's mind and help him change it?
It's possible. I mean, it could have been where, Frank was kind of hearing that question a lot, maybe, and then Max probably came in, and he was probably the one who kind of, tipped him over, into that kind of thinking, But I really have no idea. I was just kind of, I just came to the ballpark like it was any other day, and Frank called me in the office to tell me I was closing, and I was kind of in shock. I wasn't expecting it, I was, like I said, I was expecting it to go to Luis, and so who knows? That's possible. Frank was kind of, he was a different thinker, So he for the most part, he wasn't really open to suggestions like that. But I think we were kind of struggling at that time. So who knows? He's probably hoping for anything.
Now, I've said it to you before, but I'll throw it out there on the radio. You were one of the few bright spots to watch in that '04 season. It was very difficult to drag my ass to the ballpark every day.
Right.
And you were one of the few. And you know what? And Jamie Carroll was another. And I think it's really
Wilkerson.
cool. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. I think it's especially cool, Jay, that Chad lived with Jamie and that Jamie sort of kept him under his wing in his rookie year in Montreal. I think that's very neat.
Yeah.
And how awesome is it that he's still in baseball and still kicking butt?
Yeah, actually, I remember when I was, when he was with us in D.C. After our first year in D.C. in '05, our GM said that because he traded away Jamie Carroll, and he said it's because he didn't think Jamie could play anymore. And here it is, 7 years later, and Jamie has 10 years in the big leagues, I think it is now.
Yeah.
And he's a valuable part of every team that he's ever been on. He plays. I think for us, he played second, short, third. I think he played left field for us a couple times, and he was even willing to catch. So guys like that are rare, and he's good at any spot that you put him in. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's smaller than most guys. He's just going to go out there, work harder than the other guy, and it's paid off for him, and I'm really happy for him. I'm glad I was able to get to know him and to have him kind of show me the ropes, I'm thankful, grateful to him for doing that for me, and I'm really happy for him, to be able to play as long as he has.
Chad, I know I told you we'd be on 15 minutes. You mind if we keep going? I'm having too much fun to stop.
Yeah, no problem. Let's do it.
All right. The one sad part of this conversation, tell me about being around for the last days of the Expos.
It was, it was hard. That last game in Montreal, I was only there for just over a year, but I love that city. It was, I honestly think, and a lot of guys think this, it was probably the best city to go and play in. I know visiting teams love going there. I know all the Expos players, they love that city, and for us to have to move, and relocate, it was a tough thing to handle, because we weren't sure what we were doing. We didn't, I remember when I first signed, I think that was still a time when they were thinking about contracting the team, so it was tough, and then having that last game in Montreal, having to have the game stopped a couple times because fans were starting to throw golf balls onto the field, that was a tough thing to see, and then to have the threat of us possibly having to forfeit the game because of it, that was even worse.
It was mind-blowing, and, talk about a few bad apples spoiling the bunch.
Yeah. It's sad because, we didn't have a whole lot of fans that went to the field and went to the games and stuff, but the fans that we had go, they were diehard fans. I remember I used to see, yeah, it's true because, I used to see, even when we moved down to D.C., I used to see the same father and son that I used to see sitting behind our dugout go down to spring training every year. And I remember, I never caught their names, but I remember seeing them every game in Montreal, and then seeing them in spring training in Melbourne when we became the Nationals that was pretty cool. And I remember Claude Ramon, he used to come down all the time with us and come to the clubhouse. So just the fans, they were great. It's just unfortunate, there wasn't a whole lot, but I thought the fans that came, they knew baseball, they loved it, they wanted to be there, and they wanted the team left in Montreal, and it's just unfortunate that we had to move. Yeah,
one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with, man.
Yeah, any time you lose a team, or lose anything that's special to you is, it's hard to deal with, especially Montreal. It was, like I said, it was the greatest city to play in. I loved it there.
But that being said, we're on quite the high heading into Washington, and ended up being an all-star, their player of the year, and leading the league in saves.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all bad for you, Chad.
No, not at all. I wish I could have done it in Montreal too, but having to being an all-star and being able to represent my team, that's a special thing. And I was lucky to be able to make it to one. I wish I could have made it to more, but being able to make it to one and actually having pitched in an all-star game that's a pretty cool thing. That's something I could tell my kids when they're older.
And the first half of that season must have been just so exciting with the Nats in the pennant race.
Yeah, because we were the surprise of baseball. Nobody was expecting us, to really do much, because coming off of that year in Montreal, I think we only won I think it was 64 games. We weren't really expected to do much. And here we are. I think at the All-Star break, we were 51-31, I think it was, or something. Or at the halfway point, we were 51-31, and leading. I think we were leading the Braves by 8 or 9 games at the break, I think it was. And so it was a lot of fun. The fans down there were great. They were really into the team. They supported us really well. It's kind of dropped off, I guess, the fans a little bit down there, but they're still doing pretty good. But that first year was, it was magical. So, and then I enjoyed myself down there for sure.
I would imagine. I know when we had Zach Day on, one of the things he talked about was meeting the president.
Yeah.
Something that was thrilling for you, or?
Yeah, because every day it seemed like you're meeting someone new. I remember George Bush. He threw out the first pitch a couple times. The 4 years I was in D.C., but we got to go to the Pentagon. We got to go to the White House and I got to meet the ambassador of Japan, who was a diehard baseball fan. I think he's the commissioner of the Japanese baseball league now.
Oh,
so
wow.
you just get to meet a whole lot of people that, for me, I never thought I would ever be able to meet, and just I was real lucky. Baseball's kind of opened up a lot of doors for me.
Now, how long did you pitch before you tore your labrum?
I had 5 years. I had 5 years in the big league now, and then so just kind of a random thing. I remember it was the first game of the year in 08. And we were in batting practice, I was just playing catch, and all of a sudden I felt this sharp pain run down from the shoulder to my elbow, and I didn't know what it was. So I think what happened was just all that wear and tear. I think I might have come up a little bit too quick, out of college and stuff, because in college you're only throwing 40 games a year, and in the big leagues, I was throwing close to 80 games a year, and warming up every day, almost seemed like every day of the season and stuff. So I just, I don't think my arm might not have been ready at the time, but, I didn't know that. I was excited to be in the big leagues and stuff. So I think that might have had had a little bit to do with it. But I think for the most part, I just wasn't, I think I just was throwing a whole lot, just wasn't used to it.
Well, as we know, it's one of the most difficult injuries to come back from, and in fact, the poster boy for a little while was Rocky Biddle as the successful example of somebody coming back from that injury.
Yeah.
But it's not. Yeah. It's not usually long term. It's gotten better now, but it must be a very difficult feeling to know that one simple game of catch and boom, there it goes.
Yeah, because the shoulder surgery, it's the hardest thing to come back from, just like you were saying, Tommy John, it used to be everybody dreaded Tommy John, but now you have Tommy John and you come back going harder now, and now it's the shoulder. It's like you said, it's gotten a lot better. But right now I think it's like a 60% chance that you won't come back, and as of right now I'm part of that 60%. So hopefully, I can take this year off, build up my arm strength a little bit more, and hopefully make a comeback next year.
Oh, look, you know what, Chad? I honestly didn't know that was your intention. I thought that when you'd retired, you'd retired. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I've already started playing catch. I'm coaching a high school team right now, so that allows me to work out with the kids. Play catch with the kids. I'll start throwing bullpens probably late this summer and stuff, because I want to come back. When I retired last year, I was kind of, I had a bunch of stuff on my mind. I was dealing with the loss of my daughter just a couple months before that and stuff. So I think that had a lot to do with it, and I was missing my family. So, and plus, that plus the fact that I wasn't doing very well, and I just thought, I just need to take a year and a half off, be with my wife and kids, and get my head straight, and give my arm some more time to heal.
That sounds like a very good plan, Chad.
Yeah, and it's I've loved my time off. I'm getting the itch to go back. I listen to the MLB Network all the time and stuff. And I'm on my way to work, and I'm getting that itch to want to go back to go back. But as of right now, I know I just want to be home with my kids and my wife for a year and just kind of enjoy that. And right now, I'm loving it.
Chad, we wish you the best of luck. You still have many, many fans up in Montreal and all throughout Canada, and we'll always remember you as one of the brighter spots at the end of it all for the Montreal Expos.
Thanks.
And hopefully we can be in touch. If you're watching so much MLB Network, we might lean on you for some analysis during the season, Chief.
All right.
Thanks so much.
All right, no problem.
Have a great one. There he goes, Chad Cordero. An in-depth, extensive interview with Chad Cordero.
We just broke a story, too, there.
Yes, Chad Cordero is attempting a comeback.
I would love to see that.
Oh,
I would love to. The guy is clearly a class act, and I would love to see him come back. We didn't have time to get into it, but he does hold a major league record.
Do tell.
15 saves in 1 month. Held also by two former Expos, John Wetland and Lee Smith.
Hey, look at that. All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I just found that out. So his name is in the record books. If he doesn't make a comeback, well, he's forever immortalized.
It was a pleasure to speak with Chad the Chief Cordero, and